Assalamu alaikum, specifically to those listening in the Middle East. Ramadan has just ended the holy month, so now I feel appropriate to bring you a new episode of Are You Not Qatartained? The interviews in association with cinema scholars and, of course, Qatartainment. I'm your host, Glenn Dower. Give me a follow at Dower Film Doha. And while you're at it, follow cinema scholars at Scholar Cinema and, of course, Qatartainment.official. It is spring, just before we hit summer blockbuster season. We have three more fantastic indies I want to share with you. First up, In the Mouth, I'll be speaking to director Cory Santilli and star Colin Burgess. This film premiered at the Slamdance Festival in LA in January. You can dig it out online and it's very, very, very funny. Do check it out if you can. I also was speaking to the director of The Quiet Ones, based on a true story about the biggest heist in Danish history. I'll be speaking to director Frederik Louis Hviid, a very nice gent, and we talked about Man United. We talked about how to build suspense in movies, and it was a great chat if you love your action movies too. And finally, last but not least, once in a while I get to do these interviews, and I'm thinking, waiting for the virtual meeting to start, is this really going to happen? It happened with Jon Voight, it happened with David Arquette, it happened with Lance Henriksen, and the lady I spoke to this time around was Joanna Cassidy. You may not know her name, but you'll definitely know her movies, because I certainly did growing up with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Blade Runner, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, classics of the 80s and 90s, and Don't Tell Anyone She Was My Boyhood Crush when I was very little. And I did tell her that to hilarious effect. I really hope you enjoy these interviews. I have a lot more coming up to share with you on this channel. So also, if you listen on Spotify, of course, do follow and like and share with anyone you think will love movies and enjoy talking about movies and listening to stars and filmmakers. But that's not for me, as always. I'll see you on the other side. Otherwise, enjoy. Mr. Santilli, how are you, sir?
Good, how are you?
I'm really good. So when I got the message through from John In the Mouth, I wasn't sure what I was going to get, but turned out to be a real treat. So as I said, I didn't know what to expect. And I just want to read out the mini synopsis I got. So a perpetual worrywart finds himself unable to leave his house after discovering a giant version of himself protruding from his front lawn. Inspirations, please.
I think that it was mostly it was mostly like the personification of what I was dealing with at the time. It was like I was dealing with housebound agoraphobia for a few years, and so it was written out of frustration. I just kept thinking, I'll use this time to be productive, and I just couldn't stop the frustration. It was just ad nauseum. So yeah, I just one day I was like, I'm just gonna write about this, and this is what came out, and it was a bit overt. Like I wasn't sure if I was being a little too on the nose with it, but I also didn't think that it was gonna get made, really. So I probably would have made decisions differently had I thought that it was going to. But yeah, it was sort of birthed in the frustrations that I was dealing with at the time.
Yeah, and what I like about it is it takes matters seriously, but also has a tone that you can really empathize with. Because sometimes we'll get a story like this, we'll talk about Merle, the main character. You do feel sorry for him, and he isn't irritating, and he isn't, oh, woe is me. He just sort of gets on with it. The film has a really playful tone, which I really like. So it reminded me of Wes Anderson and the sort of heightened reality, and some bits seem almost cartoonish, like when he's trying to find money and he's doing the accountants and go, I need more money.
Yeah.
That's the moment. That's just great. So sort of autobiographical, you said as well. But the film is in black and white. Can you tell me about the decision behind that as well?
Yeah, it just felt like aesthetically, it always just sort of felt like that was what I was seeing. I don't actually know why. It just always felt like from the moment I started writing it, I saw it in black and white. And the moment that I started visualizing it, storyboard wise, it was in black and white. And I just never really thought about it in color. I don't really, I never really made more of a decision from that basically. It was like it just sort of felt inherently correct.
Now let's talk about Colin Burgess. What a find he was for you. So he was sort of perhaps playing a version of yourself, would you say? And how did you go out finding him? Because one of my notes was Colin Burgess just corners comedy here. He even makes like drinking a glass of water really funny.
Yeah, Colin is just so inherently funny. You could Colin can really make things that weren't intended to be funny in his own little ways. Super talented. Um, I found him via some short films that he made on this website called No Budge, and that was how I found him. And we just sort of kept in touch over the years. We kept trying to figure out how to work together, what we were going to work together on. Some things that got started and then fell apart. But this one felt like the right one. And I remember one day we were on set and Colin said, "I'm really glad this was the one that we were able to work on first." Um, but yeah, there's no, the cast was so great. There's no way this film was going to be successful without them.
Hmm? And it was just a pleasure to watch in this. So we have Paul Raftery as well. He's in for a short time, but he seems to be having such good fun. Of course, he's a
Yeah.
villain, if you like. How did you come across him, and how wasn't it fun for Colin as well? Because I imagine a lot of the time on set was him by himself, but then he had something to play with. What was that like?
Yeah, I found Paul through, I was working with his daughter on something, and then I found Paul because he was, our actor had dropped out and he stepped in, and then I just kept in touch with him. A lot of my relationships are just people that I keep in touch with over the years. But yeah, even people who have watched the film have said, like, it feels like they really love the moment when Larry arrives because there's a tonal shift and it feels like, a recess from the sort of peculiar and odd world that Merle is building around himself.
Yeah, the odd world that you talk about, I made some notes like he's a creative recluse. He's creative. So,
Right.
so the little T Rex grabber, he gets to collect his packages and how to
Yeah.
collect mail on like a little clothesline. He's thought all this through. I
Yeah.
really like how he got involved with virtual tours, which of course you all became familiar with during lockdown, of course. So were those things you experienced yourself, as you said, this is semi autobiographical experience for you.
Yeah, I mean, even still to an extent, I try to do things virtually when I can, but yeah, I mean, it wasn't as exaggerated as what he's experiencing in the film, but yeah, I definitely had to get creative at times to figure out how to be in certain places when I couldn't physically be there.
Oh, did Mr. Burgess? I'm Glenn. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm really good. Yeah, we're just talking about you. What a coincidence.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, about how you guys go way back and you were fifth choice for the movie,
Yeah.
but we were just talking about how your character sort of, we're talking about Corey's background with his own experience with agoraphobia. And did you have to speak with him like moments? How did you do this when you were about to go outside? Or how did you do this when you had to interact with people? Was there much going back and forth going, when you were doing this to him, what did you do?
Uh, Honestly, no, I don't think we really. I don't think I asked Corey anything about himself. I think I was just, coming at it from I guess more of a comedic angle, or just like, I guess, thinking about a guy that just doesn't leave his house and how he would interact with people, which in my experience, when I don't leave the house all day and I try to interact with someone, I sound weird. I sound and I behave weird when I'm not around people for long periods of time.
Mhm. Yeah, so I've sense of quote, we sort of enter a heightened reality sometimes when we're trying to interact with people we've never met before. Do we put on a version of ourselves and things like that? So you must have been acting like that. But I just want to say, how many takes did it take for you to drink that glass of water? Because I find that so funny when you're talking to the cops. You really milk that moment, shall we say. This not going, I'm really going to give this glass of water and take this to town with.
Uh, I think we did. I think maybe two takes of that, because I will say I think I suggested that.
Yes.
Uh,
You're really behind.
and I thought it would be really funny. And I think the first take, it dawned on me how difficult that actually is. And I was out of breath. I think I didn't realize you can't breathe while you're drinking. Is that true? I remember being really out of breath.
Yeah.
You can't breathe while you're drinking. This is what I figured out. This is the big thing I learned in this movie.
Yeah. There you go. Educational experience. Yeah. We're talking about the film coming to Slamdance. So what is your experience? What is your expectations when you bring the film there? Are you really excited to get the audience's reactions to your performance and to your directing?
Yeah. I'm excited about. Yeah, we're definitely excited about it. I mean, I don't know that. I think when I was on set, I just kept thinking like, it felt like such a bold movie to be making, and the way we were making it was really limited in its resources. I mean, we shot 164 scenes in 10 days. It was nonstop madness. So I just think we all just really wanted to do a good job. And I feel like had we known that we'd be premiering at Slamdance while we were on set, it wouldn't have gone as smooth because we would have been like so focused on everything else. But really, we were hyper focused every day, and it feels awesome. I think we're all really excited to be playing at Slamdance. It feels like the best fit for the movie.
I agree with that. I thought when Cory was saying if we had known we got into Slamdance while we're filming, we would try harder. I've been wanting to. This is really cool to get into Slamdance. I've been a fan of the festival, and this is sort of a thing I can check off the bucket list.
I trained Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, and George Foreman.
It's an honor to meet you. The judge said I had no business in a courtroom, that I was childish. Just need to get my act together.
You lost your cool.
Stop yelling!
It's primal. Fight or flight.
Excellent. So we're here to talk about your new movie, Uppercut, and you play Rita. What can you tell us about her?
Oh, okay, great. Where are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm in the Middle East. I live in Qatar, in Doha.
Oh, how wonderful.
So I'm up past my bedtime, but it's fully worth it.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for asking me to come on your show. Anyway, so Rita, she's a physical therapist to this young man. I would like to say that she's a woman of many talents. There are many things that Rita does. She works with him psychologically. In this particular movie, and I think that Torsten Ruther is going to follow up with a second movie, depending on how this goes, to open up the characters, to find out who they really are, what is it about them. So we'll take it out of the boxing ring into their personal lives. But in this movie, we'll see Rita, who is a very strong mother figure, as well as a healer. She has come aboard to be all things. Whatever you need, I'm going to be there for you.
I really get the idea with Rita. Because like you say, we really want another movie. We want more time with Rita.
One more.
But by the time we do get with her, there's that moment that's just after the hour mark where you come in and you give this amazing pep talk to the main character, Tony, and you think, that's why she's in the movie. It's just this epic monologue that you have about feeling empowerment and being a role model and things like that. And I'm thinking, I wrote down, this is why you get Joanna Cassidy. It was just a real treat, just that moment. And then it was gone. And, when's she coming back? When is she coming back?
Bloody hell, you're rolling. Yeah.
It's not rolling, that's it, yeah. But what can you tell us about working with Louise Grossman? Because I think this is her first movie, right? And what a narrative she has, because we're going back and forth in time. She's picking up these words of wisdom from Ving Rhames, of course, and then putting them into action when she's a boxing manager and promoter. What was it
Yep.
like working with her? Were you like a mentor to her, a mother figure again, like you say?
Well, she's very young, she's and new, and they are a pair, they're partners in this whole thing, and so knowing Louise, knowing Torsten is adoring them both, and you know, and with them, they have such phenomenal energy. You just go, okay, I'm in. Okay, let's go, wherever. You know, let's do this. I don't know whether you know, but my scene with her was very last minute. We were in the middle of a strike, and it was not going to happen for a while. And all of a sudden, I got a call that said, "Hey, get on a plane. We could shoot this." So, get ready to come in, and that's what it was. And I was prepared, and I knew them from before. I had spent time with them, and she's so adorable. I mean, this is a young actress that has no ego, nothing. I mean, she and Torsten are just an adorable couple and excitable, filmmakers. They want things to be good. They want everyone to be happy. And, when you walk on a set like that, you want to give 1,000%. You just, okay.
Let's do it. Yeah. Of course, it's a boxing movie, of course. So why do you think we as an audience love boxing movies? Because you think they've said everything they want to say by now. Raging Bull, the Rocky franchise. Now we have Creed, $1 Million Baby. But why do we audience still love going back and seeing a good boxing movie?
Because it's the basic thing in human beings that's we don't get to express. We were hunter-gatherers before. When do we get to... I had dreams last night that I was beating up somebody. I don't generally go out and do that, but I am dreaming that I'm punching out a guy. Where does that come from? It's so, it's about a lot of things. It's about protection. It's about presenting yourself in the world. It's about being independent, strong, capable of handling yourself in a situation that we need to handle ourselves. The world is changing so fast. You have to be ready for everything. And I think that it's what's the word? It's a vicarious thrill to see someone in a ring and blood flying, but muscles bulging, a physical presence, a violence and energy. It's like a lion catching its prey. I'm going to eat you alive. I don't care what you do. I'm going to win. I'm going to win. And that's what I think so much of it is about. It's a vicarious experience of having that win, And
Oh yeah, and a good boxing movie, you will be involved with it. Even and watch it, you will dodge, and you'll feel it, like you say. So it's an interactive experience, isn't it? It doesn't just wash over you. You're there in the room.
more so than a tennis game. Tennis game, but your heart is still racing. You still want a certain player to win. You still want this to happen. You want him to lose. You want him to fall. You want him to do something. And I think it's a very innate desire, a mental experience that we can have through someone, through someone else who's showing us something.
And Uppercut will gladly go into that genre very, very, very well, I think. So, as cinema scholars, we have to go look at your career, Miss Cassidy. Growing up, one of my favorite movies, as in every day I would go home, VHS, Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry if you're sick of it, but I just adore and love that movie. And I will tell you something else. Forget Jessica Rabbit. My crush was on Dolores.
Really? Oh
I
God.
would take Dolores for a gin. I would say, Eddie, stand aside.
Yep.
There.
That's great. Well, Eddie was, they were all dumb in that movie. I was the babe. I knew she was drawn that way, but
You walk that way.
not going on, and I had to struggle with that a little bit because they said, well, you can't have your red hair. You have to have another color because one of our leads is a redhead. I said, Jesus, you guys, you're falling in love with a cartoon. I'm here. I'm right here.
I get that. And again, we could talk about your leading man, Mr. Harrison Ford, Mr. Gene Hackman, Bob Hoskins. We could talk about the directors, Mr. Ridley Scott, we could talk about Bob Zemeckis, we could talk about Andrew Davis. Forget about them. But what I want to ask about you, Miss Cassidy, is when I look at your movies, you really disappear into the roles. Okay, even just with the ones we had talked about, Dolores, Zohora from Blade Runner, even Rose from Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. I'm guessing, do you have a lot of input into their looks? Because just those three characters, completely different. And you disappear into all of those. Is it because maybe of your modeling background, your artistic background, where you have a say, I think she should have this look, and this one should have this look? What is your input into those really, really iconic characters?
Well, thank you. Thank you for the compliment. It's really, really, thank you. It's very, very nice. I am really happy to hear that. Some input. The name of my memoir, if I ever get it finished, is called Luminous Ghost. And I feel like I am a ghost in a way, that I literally am presented with things that I can just, like you used the word, disappear in. You know, that's a very ghost-like word. And it's my job and my pleasure to eat a character in a way, that I know people, when they watch me, sometimes they go, I didn't know it was you, but then you laughed. And I knew your laugh. And I said, well, that's wonderful. That's all I want to hear. I mean, another movie that I have coming out soon is called Killing Faith. It's with Guy Pearce and Bill Pullman. And I play a mid-1800s woman on the plains that, well, I can't tell you what I become because, you'll see it later. It's, I think I just appeared in that one too. So, this is good to know. Sometimes I have input. Sometimes I have input with the makeup. I'm very fussy with the makeup. I like to do my own makeup in a lot of cases. I don't know how we got that red wig and rose, but the woman who was doing my makeup then was really an artist. She understood a face. She didn't make up a face like some makeup artists make up the same. They put the same face on everybody. She and I talked a lot about how this woman needs to appear, and it will help with, but the character. But that was such a walk-in. I mean, I loved that character so much. And I could have made her mean. I could have made her bitchy, but I figured that this boss has to be so adorable and so lovable. I like to bring that somehow in all my characters, that you may hate her, but there's something about her that you kind of attach yourself to. So it's like Margaret Chenoweth in 6 Feet Under.
Wow.
Yeah.
Miss Cassidy, my time is up. It's been an absolute pleasure. Little Glenn is so happy he's met Dolores, and I'm so happy to have met you. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a real
I really
pleasure.
appreciate your time. Okay, great. Ciao.
Bye.
I want in. First 5 trucks. You go to the police stations, park at the top of the freeways, and selected intersections. Put them across the road. Block. Okay, déchargez! Copenhagen. I want chaos. And don't talk. Don't say one word to each other. Understood?
Mr. Hviid, how are you, good sir?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. So we're talking about The Quiet Ones. Now, one of my favorite things about this movie is I checked out on IMDb for violence and gore, and it said severe. Horrifying.
Yeah. I saw also that when they do the cover for the Blu-ray, there's like the adult guy, the parental guidance, the red printed logo in the bottom. It felt like I was back at my those were the types of films that I would have sought out in the in playtime when I was a kid. It felt like a throwback to the good old days.
Yeah. Of course, there's something about heist movies that are nostalgic for some reason. Of course, so the Quiet One's based on true events. A 2008 heist in Copenhagen, the biggest on Danish soil, shall we say. So why do you think it's the right time for this movie to be made? Or why were you the man to make it?
I'll let you be the judge of on the last one. I think I think it was I think these types of robberies are I don't want to say a dying art because it sounds like but it kind of is. It's not the physical aspect of bank robberies is something that it's not going to be done any longer.
Mm.
Or
or cryptocurrency.
everything is done digitally now. Everything is now from behind a laptop, right? Most banks are cashless now, as in Denmark at least they are. I mean, there's not really. This is not something that can and will be done ever again. Um, so I think that in itself kind of makes it special, and it was the biggest one that was ever committed in Denmark, and not only that, it was also successful. And I think that that trifecta of it being all of those three things, I think made it very, very suitable for the big screen, and something that I've been wanted to do for a long while. It was like a bucket list moment when I read about this in real life.
Yeah, it's really good because, of course, we have the Ocean's 11 movies. Even Avengers Endgame was a heist movie. There are just something about them that are just so exciting because whether true story or not, that is just tension upon tension upon tension. So how did you enjoy directing it? Was it, I'm guessing it may not have been shot in sequence. How did you approach that to keep the tension rising?
Yeah, no, it was very much not shot in any sequence. I think we as I remember it, I think we started out by shooting the heist actually. All the night shoots was something so we had a very hard start. It was like 3 weeks of nights and action just like from day one. Um, to me, suspense is perhaps one of the most thrilling parts of writing scripts and directing scripts to me. Um, I think I enjoyed so much more than watching the actual bomb go off. I like the idea of talking about it more, you know, um, teasing that it might well as the fuse gets shorter and shorter. I think that to me, that's where the fun lies. It's about igniting as many fuses as you can and show people very early on how much shit can go wrong quickly. And I think once that is all implemented in us when we watch it, we start to look for when does it go wrong. And I think the idea that it can go wrong, that in itself is, then I think then I'm happy. Then I've done my job because now people are anxious that it will. And I think just keep teasing people that maybe this was not exactly how it was supposed to go. And I think that the whole idea of sharing a plan with the audience and then watch it show slowly but surely, I think that's a very rewarding. And I think it's also very rewarding for me when I watch a film. It's something that I enjoy a lot.
Yeah, definitely. The reward, I really like the idea with the reward of actually it all being come together in the end. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Look, I came to the film with a bit of a personal backstory because my wife is Danish. My father-in-law used to work for DSB. And I thought, I used to have a summer job with him. He and I would fix broken windows on the TSP in Copenhagen. I was able to open his house. Go, I've been there. I know this. This is amazing.
Really? No, that's
So I had the old Danish lifestyle for a little while of the two Borgen snaps after work, and he was like this and the rhubards. Oh yes, and bowing down to the idol Schmeichel. All of that. That's our
Alright, yeah, so I'll snakke honorary Danish, but I came to the film going, oh, let's see what we've got here. But I just wanted to ask you, because obviously this is very much Danish story. But was there ever a point where you were going to supplant it perhaps and put it into a more glamorous setting and say this was based in a story in Denmark, but we're filming it in LA? Was there ever like
Yeah.
come into it? Or are we going to dedicate to the story?
No, because I think the themes were so universal that I couldn't find really any particular reason of moving it anywhere than what it'd been in real life. And I think whenever you depict something that happened in real life, you need to make sure that you follow that real life story. Otherwise, why not just inventing stuff yourself? So I think that was a big point of me. And then I think I was very clear on not trying to make it charming, not trying to make it slick and glorifying their actions in a way. And I think you can easily do that when it's like open Hawaii shirts and in a speedboat somewhere. I think it tends to look like a lifestyle that you want to have yourself. And from what my research in a way tells me is like the criminal lifestyle is ugly, it's difficult, it's dangerous, it's paranoid, it can be exciting, it can be very alluring, but it's also a lot of other things. And I wanted to make a real true depiction of what real life crime looks like. And we had like the real main Danish organizer of the robbery attached to developing the script with us. And he was incredibly helpful in terms of telling us what type of life it actually is when you dedicate yourself to crime, what it looks like, what it feels like, how you look over your shoulder at all times. And that was an important point for me to get across, that it's not a happy life. It's not a life that will end in a good way. It never is. Maybe you can get away with some money stashed away. Probably not, but maybe you can. But you're always gonna be looking all over your shoulder.
Yeah, in lots of these movies, we all end up rooting for the bad guy, don't we?
Yeah.
We're always rooting for, even though the guy who they're stealing from is a decent guy, he's the bank manager, but we're rooting for the bad guy to win the day for some reason. Yeah, so I really get what you're talking about. So we came that gritty and real, and these guys are broken. So we'll talk about your lead, of course, Casper, the main character. How tricky was it to cast him? Because, of course, he's a boxer, hasn't had the career he wanted. He's pulled between family life and wanting to make a name for himself. So how tricky was it to cast him and find the ideal leading man who had those qualities before?
It was quite difficult, actually, because first and foremost, he needed to look like he is a prize fighter, which he was in real life. I mean, he competed on an international level, and grew up with the future welterweight champion, who was Danish. He could have, not easily, but he could have been, in that line of fighters. So he needed to look the part as well, which meant that it needed to be an actor who was very willing to go the extra mile in terms of embodying that level of, elite physique. So that was one thing that was important to me. And then it was important that it was a character that or an actor that I found equally charming and equally dangerous, that I knew just by watching him that he had a lot of secrets. Because, and I know this is going to sound stupid, but to me, secrets is the thing that gets me attached to a character. When I try to look, if I can see in their eyes that there's something that they hide from me, then I'm all in. So I'm looking for secrets whenever I cast. Like, what are they not telling me? And Gustav was just like, looking at him in one way, he can have like these very soft, compassionate eyes, but he can also be incredibly hard to look at in a way. Not hard, but he can have like a very stern appearance, and perhaps a frightening appearance as well. And I think the combination of something that is soft and vulnerable and a very, dangerous appearance, I think that was like what I was looking for. And then he's an incredible actor too. I think I can say, incredibly natural and very gifted and disciplined. I mean, so he came with the full package, in my idea.
He did, and what you said perfectly sums up the movie. So there's bits, elements of danger, elements of softness, and elements of what's going to happen next, and what are the secrets. I love it. Well, sorry, my time is up, but it's a real pleasure. Thank you so much for your time, and best of luck with the movie.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
And there we have it, folks. This edition of Are You Not Qatartained? The interviews from Qatartainment in association with cinemascholars.com. I really hope you enjoyed this episode and you've been inspired to go and check out these indie movies. And of course, if you're like me, you'll dig out and watch any movie you can or while you can. And these three are definitely worth your time. Do check them out when you can and you will not be disappointed. It's something for everyone. I hope you will agree. And that's enough from me, your host, Glenn Dower. Do check me out again on Instagram and Threads at Dower Film. And head on over to cinemascholars.com for all these interviews in print and also our YouTube show at Cinema Scholars channel. I thank you for your time and I'll see you at the movies.
Are you not entertained?